What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the Powerstroke. That's right, I still have this thing. I know I haven't made a video with it in a little bit of time, but that's because we've been working this thing. I picked up 2 Jeeps in the past month and a half with this thing. I love this thing to death. And in today's video, we're doing something that not a whole lot of people actually do to this generation Ford, or these years of Ford, I should say. They don't take like a 2001 truck and put like newer this style mirrors, like 2006 style mirrors on it. They go right for the 2008 plus. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people now that are gonna say,
oh, I did that and stuff.
Yeah, well, where's your proof? Huh? Where's your YouTube video? Exactly. Everyone who has these trucks upgrades to, I believe it's the 2008 plus square style mirror. Those mirrors are bigger. They make the truck look a little more updated. So you would think that that's right up my alley. But the problem is almost too many people do that. And the other problem is those things, even on a junkyard truck, they're like $500, $600, $700. $500, like, don't you go into high idle, I'm trying to talk. Now you can find plenty of aftermarket options that look just like the OEM ones. And they're only, you know, $170, $200 something dollars. But a ton of the reviews say that they rattle. But gosh, I had to get aftermarket mirrors for my Wrangler because the OEM ones, even though they're little dinky things, were still a ton of money, and they rattle. And it is the most annoying thing because you're driving along and at the corner of your eye, you just see the world literally behind you, because it's a mirror, just vibrating and shaking, and it's extremely annoying. And I can't even imagine what it would be like on a mirror that's this size, you know? So on my truck, I have power mirrors, but that's it. They don't have the turn signal, and they're not heated. And boy, have I found out this winter why having heated mirrors is a nice feature to have. Would you stop going into high idle, you? Because there have been multiple occasions where I'm driving and, to be quite honest, I can't see shit. So I found a pair of this style mirror off a newer truck, like an 06, power adjusting, heated, and they have the turn signal. I really want the turn signal and the running light. I think it looks really cool. I found them on Facebook Marketplace. I looked even on eBay and stuff, and the going rate for them was like $120, $150 per side, even at a junkyard. I found on Facebook Marketplace a guy selling 2 of them in nice shape, OEM, with all the features for $175. So they weren't far away. I was down there that day to go pick them up. But another reason I went with this style mirror was because, again, I think I told you guys when I got this truck, my dad had one of these as a work truck, and it was dark blue just like this same generation. And I don't know, that mirror shape is just kind of, you know, when I see that mirror shape, I think of the truck. Maybe that's because it's attached to it. So today we're gonna be installing those newer, like 2006 style F350 mirrors onto my 2001 F350. And the fun part's gonna be that my truck doesn't have the provisions for the heat or the turn signals or the parking lights. So we've got some wiring to do today. Here's actually a good comparison. Here's my brother's truck, and you can see his. I don't know if his are heated. So his are the ones that I wanted. He wouldn't sell them to me though. But this is an 06, and mine is an 01. So I don't think they had the turn signal or the heated mirror as options then. Here are the mirrors I got. Now you must like mirrors pretty good to keep them in a bag. As you can see, a little heated mirror and the turn signal. And they're in really, really good shape. A lot of the ones that I saw had the paint was like really fading here. Like I think my passenger side is doing it. Yeah, so you can see right there, it's chipping quite a bit on both sides. $175 on Facebook Marketplace. Not too shabby. Get out of there. So bolting these up to the truck, very easy. The wiring shouldn't be very difficult. I did all sorts of research. I know what wires I'm looking for. That's going to be the only thing that might be a little bit difficult, but I'm positive, but I'm feeling good. Positive thoughts. So let's start with pulling the door panels off. All right, first things first, just pull this light out. Look at me all fancy with the professional tool. It's not even working. There it goes. And then in here we have a 7mm. That's gonna come out. Next, we're gonna pop this window switch up here. We've got a 7mm bolt there. Now we can unplug all these connectors from the door switches. Get these all out of the way. Then we're gonna pop this A-pillar trim off here, like that. And up here we have 4 11mm bolts. I'm gonna just loosen them for now so that I don't drop the mirror. Well, in hindsight, it probably would have been smarter to put the window down while I had the switches attached so I could reach around and hold the mirror. That's okay, we'll make do. My arms are like 83 feet long anyways. Now we gotta pull these 2 plugs off, and there's 2 more bolts in there. All right, now comes the interesting part. It'd be very bad to drop that. Careful, Squidward. Whew, should be a surgeon.
But, as it turns out, that was actually the wrong way to do it.
Aha, I got a little ahead of myself. So first things first, we actually have to pull the door panel off so we can disconnect the wiring. So then we can remove the mirror much easier. Door panel came off nice and easy. One thing I forgot to mention, when you pull the door panel off, don't forget this little light down here is connected still. You just twist that, pull it out. Now we have to remove the speaker. Now these bolts are a 5.5mm. Anyone want to tell me why I've never heard of a 5.5mm socket? Since when is this a thing? That's just annoying. But a 7/32, I guess, is the closest thing, so we're gonna try that.
It worked. So, we took out the 4 screws holding in the speaker, unplugged it from its connector, removed the vapor barrier, and now can pull the mirror off. We then cleaned up the area that the mirror mounts to, fed the new mirror harness through the opening, and mounted the new mirror onto the truck in an incredibly awkward manner.
All right, so the new mirror is on. We've fastened down all 4 of the mounting bolts. Be very, very cautious not to over tighten these, but you want them snug. They're gonna be hanging off the side of the truck going 70 miles an hour if you can get to 70 miles an hour on the highway. So you do want to make sure these things are snug, but just not too snug. Now, time for the fun part, the wiring. Now again, my truck's a 2001. You're gonna want to double check based on your year what colors indicate what. Most of these should be pretty similar, but just double check. You don't want to get these mixed up. Like on my year truck, this is the harness coming off of the new mirror, and this is the harness coming out of the truck. Now these 2 click into each other, like they fit together. But the thing is, we have all these extra goodies on the new wire, so that's what we have to wire up. So I know that red, yellow, and blue coming out of the truck here, those are your power mirror adjustments. Blue is gonna go to blue, red is gonna go to red, both yellows are gonna go to yellow. So what I'm gonna do now is cut the connector, I should say, off of this, get these wires all free. And then coming out of the truck here, from all the research I did, I never saw this little extra connector. That I'm gonna have to figure out.
Using nice heat shrink connectors, we spliced all the red, yellow, and blue wires together because those were the easiest, and we knew what they were. Once they were wired together, we plugged back in the mirror adjustment switch and tested to see if all the mirror functions actually worked. Next thing was to pull the panel to access the rest of the wiring we needed.
So once I pulled that panel off, I was a little shocked because look at all the wire tabs in here. That looks like there's all sort of extra wiring. And I was trying to think to myself, what could someone have done to this? Because it's not really that modded. I know most of the history of the truck. Then it dawned on me, I forgot that this had a remote starter on it. That must be what all this is, but at least it looks like it's done very nicely.
I was told you could access turn signal wires from the multi-function switch on the steering column. What I wasn't told was just how much of a bitch that would be to get the steering column covers off. So I gave up on that and started searching for the wires needed under the dash. Here's a picture of the notes on my phone that I had to keep looking at in order to connect the correct wires to each other.
What a mess this has been. This has got to be one of the hardest things that I've done on a vehicle. I know there's gonna be some of you guys that are gonna say, oh, I did that in 5 minutes. Yeah, well, you know, I've had a tough time here. And I'm not the smartest person there is. So I finally, I've been working at this for hours. I finally got the wires through that stupid thing and into the cab. I have my 4 wires here. So we're gonna have our mint green, black with a white line, and brown. So now what I'm gonna do is find the corresponding wires up under the dash here. It's just a little more difficult with this remote starter. All this crap in the way, because the harness I need is right behind it.
I then located those wires and used taps to get power from them to then run through the grommet to the door to power the mirror harness. Next, we protect all the wires and wrapped them in a bundle so they didn't go anywhere near the window track. Put the grommet back in place, secured the vapor barrier back to the door, and put the door panel back on. All before realizing I had forgot to put the door speaker back in. Now, with the door speaker in, I could then install the door panel, plug back in the window controls, and reinstall the A-pillar trim. The next morning, we began disassembly of the passenger side door. In a much smarter manner this time, I pulled the old mirror off, cleaned the mounting surface, and bolted on the updated mirror. Getting the old mirrors off and putting the new mirrors on takes virtually no time. It's the wiring that kills you. Again, taking the harness coming off the new mirror, cutting off the connectors, and connecting the red, blue, and yellow wires coming out of the truck's harness. Because we need to grab power for the passenger side turn signal and power from the running lights, I put 2 taps on each of the wires coming out of the truck when I found them. Then ran those 2 wires up under the dash and through the door grommet to the mirror harness. And a helpful hint, make sure you label these before you run them to the other side of the truck, especially if you're using the same color wire for both, because that's all the parts store had. Now, to run as little amount of wires as possible through that Satan-created hell that is the door grommet, I decided to use a ground from the door as opposed to the one in the cabin like I did on the driver's side. But I, as per usual, couldn't even do that right.
All right, so welcome back to wiring the F350. It's another day. Yesterday, it started to sprinkle, it started to rain, and I was also pissed off because my dumbass, for some reason, when I wired the ground, because unlike the other side, I'm grounding to the door here. I already tested, found a good ground, not going through the battle of running more wire than I have to through here, because this is the biggest pain. Even though this side was not nearly as hard as the other side, but regardless, I was in a good mood and I wanted to keep it that way. So my idiot self ran the ground wire right here. We had a good connection going, and then I forgot that there's a speaker that goes here, and I don't want to pinch the wire in here, and I don't think it would fit in there anyways when the speaker's in. So where we're at now is I have to cut this connection, unfortunately, run the ground wire up behind here, up under here, and then attach it back to the black wire, which again we know is our ground. Then we need to finish running this key on power wire, which is light blue. It's light blue on both sides, as I might have mentioned. We need to finish wiring this one up. I have it back here already. I was smart on that one. We have to connect it to the black wire with the white line right here. All right, now the wiring is finally complete. The driver's side definitely looks a lot cleaner than this side. I don't know why that is, but I taped everything up. You can see it up here. And these wires just, I think it doesn't look as neat as I wanted because adjustments for the mirror, those wires go upwards and the rest of them come down here because we needed, of course, the ground. We needed to tap into power, and the wire tap isn't exactly the most attractive looking thing on the planet. But I wrapped everything I could in electrical tape. And then down here, I put these little zip ties. And back there, you can see as well. I zip tied the wires to other wire groups so that they weren't moving around and so that the window, when it comes down, doesn't hit any of these. So now it's time to jump in the truck once again, turn on the lights and the blinkers. I'll just put on the hazards and make sure that everything is working. Everything is spick and span, ready to go before we put back in the speaker and the door panel. Moment of truth. It's gonna work, I know it is. Here we are. Actually, I don't even need to, actually I do for the running lights. Where is the hole? Right. Blinker. Why isn't the running light on? I turned it on, didn't I? You have got to be kidding me. God, I'm an idiot. All right. Hey, there we are. Blinker, running light, both working on the driver's side and the passenger side. Look at that, running light and blinker. I wish the running light was a little bit brighter. I didn't realize how dull it is, much like myself. Sweet, good to go, ready to rock. Now we can start assembling the driver's door panel, passenger's door panel.
With both door panels buttoned up, it was time to clean up the wiring underneath the dash, reinstall the cover, and wait until it got a little darker out to enjoy the fruits of our labor.